Deep within Arizona's merciless landscape, where justice flows from gun barrels and compassion remains scarce, a remarkable tale of salvation unfolds. Two Apache women, stripped of all they cherished, discover that deliverance can emerge from the most unlikely source. A tormented soul, wrestling with his dark past, makes a decision that challenges society's deepest expectations. This narrative explores what genuine kinship means, freedom's true cost, and how affection can flourish amid humanity's cruelest moments. Share with us below which part of the world you're joining us from. We treasure connecting with viewers everywhere. The dust clouds from 50 horses and wagons created a brown veil over the improvised auction site beyond Tombstone's borders. October 3rd, 1881, a day forever etched into my soul. Business had delayed my departure from town, and when promotion reached my ears, curiosity drew me forward. What greeted my eyes chilled me to the bone. Human beings stood where I expected. Livestock. I'm Marcus Coleman, though folks know me as Cole at 42. I've witnessed enough cruelty to fill multiple lifetimes. My cavalry service during the Apache campaigns left scars that disturbed my sleep, and consumption claimed my beloved Sarah 3 years past. Since then, solitude has been my companion at Red Canyon Ranch, where I struggle to reconcile with memories that refuse rest. Yet nothing prepared me for that afternoon's horror. Ezra Blackwood, a contemptible auctioneer, commanded a crude platform while treating people like merchandise. Distinguished guests, his greasy voice proclaimed, we present exceptional specimens today, powerful laborers suitable for ranching, mining, whatever serves your needs. The crowd mixed rough miners, cattlemen, and others whose intentions I dared not contemplate. They inspected captives like prize horses, examining teeth and muscle while discussing uses that sickened me. Most prisoners were Apache captured during raids or conflicts. Men, women, even youngsters, all shackled and displayed as goods for sale. Sheriff Stone observed nearby, not enforcing law but seeking purchases himself. Then my attention fixed on them. Two Apache women stood at the lines, and unmistakably sisters, sharing identical proud cheekbones and dignified bearing despite their circumstances. The elder, perhaps 26, shielded her younger sibling, barely 19. Their defiance struck me most while other captives showed resignation or terror. These two maintained their stature. The older sister's gaze burned with barely restrained fury. Her companion possessed unshakable dignity that no degradation could diminish. Behold something extraordinary, Blackwood announced, approaching the siblings. Two Apache sisters, magnificent specimens, young, powerful, guaranteed, hard-working with proper encouragement. The crowd's lewd laughter tightened my fists. The elder shows spirit might require breaking, but worth the investment. Her sister appears docile, perfect for domestic service. His words reduced them to animals, and such casual brutality nauseated me. Bidding opens at $50 for both. Hands shot skyward, 60, 75, 100. I watched in horror as prices climbed. These weren't employers seeking workers. Their faces revealed darker purposes. The older sister caught my stare. In that moment of connection, her gaze delivered a physical impact. She wasn't pleading too proud for begging. Instead, she challenged me. Will you observe or act? 150, shouted Jake Morrison, a heavyweight mine owner notorious for working employees to death. 175, countered Tom Crawford, whose treatment of women scandalized the territory. With each increase, my rage intensified. These were people, not property. The younger sister trembled slightly while maintaining her proud posture, as her elder's jaw set in grim resolve. Crawford's 250. Silence. The crowd more money than most territorial residents saw in half a year. Blackwood scanned expectantly. Going once, going twice, ... Something possessed me then. Perhaps memories of my childhood sister's death. Guilt from the Apache Wars, or simply witnessing such fundamental wrongness. 300, I heard myself declare, every head turned toward me. Blackwood's eyes gleamed with avarice while Crawford glared hostilely. Well, Blackwood grinned. Cole Coleman joins the bidding. 300 from our gentleman. Crawford's face reddened. 325. $350, I responded instantly. $400, Crawford snarled. The crowd buzzed with excitement over the bidding war. I met the older sister's gaze again, seeing her attempt to understand my motives. $500, I announced clearly. Gasps erupted. The sum exceeded many annual incomes. Even Crawford's greed had limits. Going once, going twice, sold, Blackwood's gavel struck. The Apache sisters to Mr. Coleman for $500? Pushing through crowds to complete the transaction, whispers followed me. What does Cole want with two squaws? Thought he still mourned his wife. Man has particular tastes, I reckon. I ignored them all, approaching Blackwood, who practically rubbed his hands together. Congratulations, Mr. Coleman. Excellent selection. These two will serve admirably. Wordlessly handing over payment, I turned toward my purchases, the words stuck in my throat. I'd bought human beings. Good intentions didn't diminish the horror. The sisters watched with unreadable expressions. Their hands remained bound, though. Disconnected from the main line? Your names? I asked and remembered Apache. The elder's eyes widened slightly but remained silent. I asked your names, I repeated in English. I am Kaya Nightwind, the older sister replied steadily despite circumstances. This is my sister Ayana. Well, Kaya and Ayana, we have considerable travel ahead. Walking toward my wagon, I felt their stares and crowd whispers. Sheriff Stone intercepted us. Coleman, he smirked. Hope you understand what you're doing. Apache women prove unpredictable. I can manage, Sheriff. Remember, they're your property now. Any trouble they cause falls on you. Property. The word crawled across my skin, but I nodded and climbed aboard. Rolling from Tombstone, I glimpsed Kaya's reflection whispering urgently to her sister in Apache, probably wondering what fate awaited them. Their terror was understandable. We traveled silently, the first hour only wagon wheels and hoofbeats. Finally, Ayana spoke hesitantly in English. Where are you taking us? I looked back at these young women whose lives I'd purchased for $500 and made a life-changing decision. Home, I said simply. I'm taking you home. Confusion filled their eyes, but also something resembling hope. They didn't understand yet, but soon would. Red Canyon Ranch nestled in a valley surrounded by crimson stone cliffs that inspired its name. 2,000 acres of quality grazing land, a solid house, and necessary outbuildings comprised this good spread. Sarah and I had built it dreaming of the family we'd raised there. Now it felt oversized and hollow for one man. Approaching the house, Rosa Martinez, my housekeeper, emerged investigating the commotion. This widow in her 50s had served Sarah and me nearly 10 years. Seeing two Apache women in my wagon, she crossed herself. Dios mío, Señor Cole, what have you done? Something long overdue, I replied. Diasmo untamed die? I helped Kaya down first. She hesitated, then accepted my hand. Her warm skin contrasted the cool October air, and her grip's strength impressed me. Ayana trusted me more readily, allowing assistance. Without resistance, both women stood uncertainly in my yard, still bound and clearly confused about expectations. Rosa, I said, prepare the guest rooms and find proper clothing for our visitors. Visitors? Rosa's eyebrows shot up. That's right, guests. I faced Kaya and Ayana, who watched this exchange with growing bewilderment. Let me clarify, I said, meeting each woman's eyes. You are not my property. You are not slaves. What happened in Tombstone was wrong, and I apologize it occurred. Reaching into my pocket for a knife caused both women to tense. Instead of threatening them, I cut their bonds. You're free to leave whenever you choose, I continued as ropes fell away. If you stay, you'll receive treatment as household members with complete respect and dignity. As bonds dropped, Kaya rubbed her wrists, staring at me unreadably. Why? She asked. Why purchase us if not to use us? Because, I said, words emerging from a heart I'd thought dead. Sometimes doing right requires doing what's hardest. That night in my study, gazing at moonlit red cliffs, I wondered about my decision's consequences. I brought two Apache women into my home and territory where anti-Indian sentiment ran high. I'd spent $500 I couldn't afford. unsure if my gesture would be appreciated or understood. But considering the alternative, what would have befallen Kaya and Ayana without intervention, I knew I'd made the only choice I could live with. The question remained whether I could keep them safe, and whether they'd ever trust the man who technically purchased them like livestock. Time would tell. But for the first time in 3 years, I felt purpose beyond mere day-to-day existence. I awoke before dawn as usual, but the house felt transformed. Other people lived under my roof for the first time since Sarah's death, and this knowledge sat strangely with me. Making coffee in the kitchen, I heard quiet voices upstairs. Rosa, speaking rapid Spanish mixed with broken Apache, the sisters responding in hushed tones. When Rosa descended an hour later, her expression troubled me. "Senor Cole, we must talk." "What's wrong?" "Those girls have endured hell." The younger one, Ayana, barely speaks, won't describe what happened before the auction. "And Kaya," Rosa shook her head, "that woman resembles a cornered wolf. She trusts no one, especially white men. Can you blame her?" "No, I cannot." "But Senor Cole, you need understanding of what you've undertaken. They think this is trickery, that you're waiting for their guard to drop before revealing true intentions." Knowing they saw me as another threat tightened my chest. How can I convince them otherwise? "Time, patience, and prayer," Rosa said. "Maybe lots of prayer." I was feeding horses when Kaya appeared at the stable door. She'd changed into one of Rosa's dresses, but still moved like a warrior, alert and danger ready. "You speak some Apache," she said without preamble. "A little. I learned during cavalry service. You fought against my people." It wasn't a question, and denial was pointless. "Yes, I did." "How many did you kill?" Her directness caught me off guard, but I owed honesty. "I don't know. It was war. Men died on both sides. Women and children, too. I never killed women or children." "Never." She studied my face as if determining whether I lied. "Why should I believe you?" "Because I'm telling the truth, and because if I meant harm, I wouldn't have bothered cutting your ropes last night." "Maybe you just prefer willing victims." The accusation stung like a slap, but I kept my voice calm. Maybe I'm exactly what I claimed, a man trying to do right." "And what is right, Cole Coleman? What do you expect from us?" "Nothing. I expect nothing except treatment with the same respect I show you." "Respect?" She laughed bitterly. "You bought us like horses or cattle. How's that respect?" "It's not. What happened in Tombstone was wrong, and I'm sorry, but I can't undo it. All I can do is try making things right from here forward." Kaya remained quiet, watching me brush my horse. "My sister thinks you might be different," she said finally. "She's always been too trusting. And what do you think?" "I think white men excel at pretty words when it serves their purpose." "Fair enough. I'd have to prove myself through actions, not words." "Where are you from originally?" I asked, changing subjects. "The Chiricahua Mountains." "Your band lived there for generations before—" She stopped herself. "Before what?" "Before men like you decided we didn't belong there anymore." Over following days, fragile routine developed. Rosa helped the sisters settle, finding clothes and showing them around. Ayana gradually opened up, especially to Rosa, whose maternal nature drew her out. Kaya remained distant and suspicious, but I caught her watching me sometimes when she thought I wasn't looking, evaluating me, seeking my angle, waiting for me to reveal true intentions. The first real test arrived on the 4th day when Sheriff Stone rode up with 2 deputies. "Coleman," he called as I stepped onto the porch. "We need to talk." I could see Kaya and Ayana watching from an upstairs window, hoping they couldn't sense my tension. "What can I do for you, Sheriff?" "Got reports of trouble with your new acquisitions. Neighbor says he saw one trying to steal chickens from his coop. It was a lie and we both knew it." My nearest neighbor was 5 miles away, and neither sister had left my property. "That's interesting, Sheriff, considering they haven't been off my land." "You calling me a liar, Coleman?" "I'm saying your information is incorrect." Stone's eyes narrowed. "I need to search your property. Make sure you're keeping those savages under proper control." "You have a warrant?" "Don't need one for runaway property. They're not runaways, they're my guests." "Guests?" Stone laughed. "Is that what we're calling it now?" Before I could respond, Kaya appeared beside me on the porch. She'd moved so silently I hadn't heard her approach. "Is there a problem?" "Here?" she asked, her English clear and precise. Stone looked her up and down with obvious distaste. Well, the savage speaks English, how civilized." I felt Kaya tense beside me, but her voice remained calm. "I speak 3 languages actually, English, Spanish, and Apache." "How many do you speak, Sheriff?" Stone's face reddened. "Watch your tongue, squaw, or you'll find yourself back on the auction block." "That's enough," I said, stepping forward. "State your business or get off my property." "My business is keeping peace. These Apache have been raiding ranches, stealing cattle, killing good Christian folk. How do I know these 2 aren't scouting for their warrior friends?" "Because they've been here under my supervision since Tuesday, unless you're accusing me of aiding raiders." The accusation hung between us. Stone might be corrupt, but he wasn't stupid enough to directly accuse a respected rancher without evidence. "Just keep them on a tight leash, Coleman. Any trouble, and I'll hold you responsible." After they left, Kaya and I stood on the porch in silence for several minutes. "Thank you," she said finally. "For what?" "For not handing us over." "It would have been easier for you." "I don't do things because they're easy." She looked at me with something that might have been the beginning of respect. "Why did you really buy us, Cole? Don't tell me it was just to do right. Men don't spend $500 on strangers just for righteousness." I'd been asking myself the same question for days and finally had an answer. "Because," I said slowly, 3 years ago I lost everything that mattered. My wife, our unborn child, my sense of purpose. I've been living like a dead man since. When I saw you and your sister on that platform, saw how you stood proud, despite everything, I saw something I thought I'd lost forever." "What?" "Hope. The possibility that broken things can be fixed, that lost things can be found again." That evening, Ayana joined me on the porch while Kaya helped Rosa with dinner. The younger sister had gradually grown more comfortable around May, though she rarely spoke unless spoken to. "My sister doesn't trust easily," she said in her soft voice. "I've noticed. She has good reason. The men who captured us weren't kind." The simple statement carried pain that made my hands clench into fists. "I'm sorry that happened to you." Kaya protected me. She always protects me. But sometimes the things we do to survive change us. I looked at this young woman, barely out of her teens, who spoke with wisdom born from witnessing too much of the world's cruelty. "What do you want to do now, Ayana? Where do you want to go?" "I don't know," she said honestly. "Our people are scattered. Our village was destroyed. Some went to the reservation, others fled to Mexico. We have no family left except each other." "Then stay here, both of you, for as long as you want." "Why? What do you gain from having us here?" It was a fair question, one I was still answering. Myself? Maybe I gained the chance to be a better man than I was. Maybe I gained the opportunity to make amends for some harm I've done. And maybe, she said with a small smile, we all gain a family. The word hit me harder than expected. Family. It was something I'd given up hope of ever having again. That night, lying in bed thinking about the conversation, I wondered, was it possible? Could we really become some kind of family despite everything that divided us? The idea seemed both wonderful and terrifying. From across the hall, I could hear Kaya and Ayana talking quietly in Apache. I couldn't understand the words, but there was something comforting about voices in my house again. For the first time since Sarah died, I fell asleep feeling like I wasn't completely alone in the world, but I knew real challenges lay ahead. Sheriff. Stone wouldn't be the last person to cause trouble over my decision to shelter the sisters, and I still had to prove to Kaya that I was worthy of the trust she was so reluctant to give. The question was, would I be strong enough to protect them? When the real test came, because something told me it was coming, and sooner than any of us expected, 2 weeks later, the real test arrived in the form of Ezra Blackwood and 3 armed men riding up to my ranch just after sunrise. I was in the barn when Rosa came running, her face pale with fear. "Senor Cole, the slave trader is here with gunmen." My blood turned to ice. I grabbed my rifle and headed for the house where I could see Kaya and Ayana watching from an upstairs window. "Stay inside," I called to them. "No matter what happens, don't come out." Blackwood sat on his horse in my yard, grinning like a snake. His companions were rough-looking men with the bearing of hired killers. "Coleman," he called out cheerfully. "Hope you don't mind the early visit. State your business and get off my land." Now, no need for hostility. I'm here about a business matter. You see, there's been a complaint about your recent purchase." "What kind of complaint?" "Well, it seems those Apache girls you bought belong to someone else. Prior claim, you might say." "I kept my rifle ready, but not directly threatening. That's impossible. You sold them to me fair and square." But here's the thing. Turns out I never had legal right to sell them. They were captured by a bounty hunter named Jake Morrison, who was transporting them to a military prison. They escaped during transfer and I found them and assumed they were fair game. It was a lie and we both knew it. But it was the kind of lie that could cause me serious legal trouble if the right people believed it. "Morrison here has come to collect his property," Blackwood continued, gesturing. To one of his men, Morrison was a big, ugly man with cruel eyes. "Those squaws cost me time and money tracking down. I want them back, plus compensation for my trouble." "How much compensation?" I asked, playing for time. "Let's say $1,000 plus the return of the merchandise." It was extortion, pure and simple. They wanted the sisters back, probably to sell them again, and they wanted to squeeze more money out of me in the process. "And if I refuse?" "Well," Blackwood said with mock sadness, "that would be theft of military prisoners. Sheriff Stone would have to arrest you. Terrible shame, really." At that moment, Kaya appeared on the porch behind me. I'd told her to stay inside, but she never was one to take orders. "You're lying," she said calmly. "We were never military prisoners." Morrison's face twisted with lust and anger. "Shut your mouth, squaw, before I shut it for you." "Try it," Kaya sighed, her hand moving to the knife at her belt, one I'd given her for protection. The situation was escalating, dangerously. 4 armed men against me with innocent women in the crossfire. "Here's my counteroffer," I said. "You have 10 seconds to get off my property before I start shooting." Blackwood laughed. "You're outnumbered, Coleman. Be reasonable. 5 seconds. You can't fight all of us." I raised my rifle, aiming at Blackwood's chest. "Try me." For a tense moment, nobody moved. Then the sound of approaching horses broke the standoff. Doc Franklin, the town physician, rode into the yard with 2 men I recognized as federal marshals. "Gentlemen," Doc Franklin called out, "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." Blackwood's confidence wavered. Federal marshals trumped local corruption every time. "Doc," I said, keeping my rifle trained on Blackwood. "Perfect timing." "Mr. Blackwood," one of the marshals said, "we've been looking for you." "For me, whatever for?" "Trafficking in illegal slavery, kidnapping, running auctions without federal permits." The marshal's voice was flat, professional. "You're under arrest." As the marshals took Blackwood and his men into custody, I finally allowed myself to breathe. Doc Franklin dismounted and approached the porch. "Sorry it took so long," he said quietly. "Had to ride to Tucson to find federal authority? Local law wouldn't touch this." "How did you know?" "Rosa sent word, smart woman, that housekeeper of yours." I looked at Rosa, who was standing in the doorway with a satisfied expression. "I sent my nephew to find help," she explained. "These men, they have evil in their hearts." After the marshals left with their prisoners, Doc Franklin stayed for coffee. He examined both sisters at my request, finding old injuries that spoke of the violence they'd endured. "They're strong," he told me privately. "But they've been through hell, the younger one especially. She's been hurt in ways that will take time to heal." "What do you mean?" Doc's expression was grim. "Use your imagination, Cole, and be patient. With them, trust doesn't come easy after what they've experienced." That evening, Kaya found me on the porch, staring out at the red cliffs in the fading light. "Thank you," she said, sitting in the chair beside me. "For what this time?" "For standing up to those men, for risking your life to protect us." "Anyone would have done the same. No, she said firmly. They wouldn't have. Most white men would have handed us over to avoid trouble. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. Can I ask you something? Kaya said. When you were a soldier fighting my people, did you ever question whether it was right? It was a hard question, one. I'd been asking myself for years. Toward the end, yes. I began to see that we were fighting people who just wanted to protect their homes and families. People not so different from us. What changed your mind? I met an Apache warrior during a parley. His name was Nalnish. He spoke perfect English, had been educated at a mission school. We talked for hours about our families, our hopes for the future. I realized he wasn't a savage or a monster. He was just a man trying to protect what he loved. What happened to him? He died in the next battle. Shot by one of my men while trying to surrender? Kaya was quiet for a long moment. Is that why? You saved us? Guilt over the past? Partly, but also because it was the right thing to do and because I hesitated. Because what? Because you and Ayana remind me that there's still good in this world worth protecting. The next morning brought an unexpected visitor. Chief Joseph Nightwind, a dignified Apache leader, rode into my yard alone and unarmed. Kaya and Ayana ran to greet him with tears of joy. Uncle! Ayana cried, embracing him. He spoke to them rapidly. In Apache, then turned to me with curious eyes. You are the white man who bought my nieces. Yes, but I freed them immediately, so I hear why. Because no human being should be owned by another. Chief Nightwind studied me carefully. You fought. Against our people. I did, and I regret it. Yet now you protect Apache women at great risk to yourself? It's what any decent person would do. No, the chief said. It is what a good man would do. There is a difference. He spoke with his nieces for an hour in Apache, then approached. Me again? They wish to stay with you, he said, both of them. They say you have given them something they thought they had lost forever. What's that? Hope and a home. He paused. I give you my blessing, Cole Coleman, but know this. If you ever betray their trust, if you ever harm them, I will come for you myself. I understand. Good, then welcome to the family. As Chief Nightwind rode away, I stood in my yard with Kaya, and Ayana beside me, feeling something I hadn't experienced in years, a sense of belonging. So, I said to the sisters, what do we do now? Kaya smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her. Now we build a life together, a real family. Ayana took my hand and squeezed it gently. Home, she said simply, and for the first time. Since Sarah died, I truly felt like I was home again. Spring came early to Red Canyon that year, bringing with it a sense of renewal that seemed to touch everything on the ranch. 3 months had passed since the sisters came to live with me, and the changes were remarkable. The house that had felt like a tomb for 3 years was now alive with laughter, conversation, and the warmth of family. Ayana had blossomed like a desert flower after rain. Her English had improved dramatically, and she'd taken over much of the cooking, bringing Apache techniques that created the most flavorful meals I'd ever tasted. She sang while she worked traditional songs that filled the house with music. Kaya had proven to be a natural with horses and cattle. Her Apache upbringing had taught her to read animals in ways that amazed me. She could calm a spooked horse with a touch and spot a sick cow from 100 yards away. More importantly, the walls she'd built around her heart were slowly coming down. But it was the morning of March 15th that everything changed forever. I was in the corral working with a young stallion when Rosa came running from the house, her face glowing with excitement. Senor Cole, come quickly. There's news. I found Kaya and Ayana in the kitchen, both holding a telegram and crying. For a moment my heart stopped, fearing bad news. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing's wrong, Kaya said, wiping tears from her eyes. Everything's right. More right than we ever dared hope, Ayana added. Ayana handed me the telegram with shaking hands. It was from a layer in Washington, D.C. KAI, and Ayana Nightwind. Stop. Regarding Apache land rights settlement. Stop. Your family claim recognized by federal court. Stop. Compensation awarded for stolen lands. Stop. Amount $35,000. Stop. Please contact immediately. Stop. I read it twice, hardly believing the words. $35,000, I said. That's a fortune. Our grandfather filed a claim 20 years ago, Kaya explained. Before he died, he told us about it, but we never thought anything would come of it. The government rarely honors Apache claims. But they did this time, Ayana added, her voice filled with wonder. We're rich, Cole, actually rich. The implications hit me like a thunderbolt. With that kind of money, the sisters could go anywhere, do anything. They could buy their own ranch, live in luxury, never depend on anyone again. They could leave me. The thought hit me harder than I expected. Over the past months, I'd grown more attached to Kaya and Ayana than I'd admitted to myself. They'd become my family, and the idea of losing them felt like facing another death. That's wonderful, I said, trying to keep the sadness out of my voice. You'll be able to start fresh wherever you want. Kaya looked at me sharply. What makes you think we want to go anywhere? Well, with that kind of money, you could have anything. A big house in San Francisco, travel to Europe, whatever you want. And leave you? Ayana asked. Leave our home? This isn't really your home. You just ended up here by accident. No, Kaya said firmly. We didn't end up here by accident. We ended up here because someone cared enough to save us when no one else would. Because someone offered us love when the world had shown us only cruelty. But now you have choices. Real choices. You're right, Kaya said, standing up. We do have choices. And I choose to stay here with the man I love. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Love. She'd said she loved me. Kaya, I love you, Cole. I've been trying to deny it. Trying to convince myself it was just gratitude or dependence, but it's not. I love your kindness, your strength, your wounded heart that still finds room for others. I love the way you treat my sister like she's precious. I love the man you've become. Ayana was smiling through her tears. And I love having a big brother who protects us and makes us feel safe. Why would we want to leave that? I felt my own eyes filling with tears. Are you sure? Really sure? Because once you stay, once we build this life together, I don't think I could survive losing you again. Then don't lose us, Kaya said, stepping closer. Marry me, Cole Coleman. Make this family official. I'd dreamed of this moment but never believed it could be real. You want to marry me? Even with everything I've done, everything I've been? Especially because of everything you've been. Your past made you the man who could save us. Your pain made you understand ours. I looked at these two incredible women who had brought light back into my dark world, and I made the easiest decision of my life. Yes, I said, pulling Kaya into my arms. Yes, I'll marry you. Both of you can stay here forever if you want. Actually, Ayana said with a mischievous smile, we have a better idea. What's that? We want to use the money to expand the ranch, buy more land, build a bigger house. Create something that can support not just us, but other people who need help. What do you mean? Kaya's eyes were shining with excitement. A place for Apache people who have nowhere else to go. Working ranch that can provide jobs and homes for those who've lost everything. A bridge between our worlds. The vision she painted was beautiful and ambitious. That would be dangerous. A lot of people wouldn't like it. Then we'll change their minds, Ayana said confidently. One person at a time, just like you changed ours. 6 months later, on a crisp October morning, Kaya and I were married in the valley below the Red Cliffs. Chief Nightwind performed the Apache ceremony while Doc Franklin handled the legal requirements. The guest list was small but meaningful, Rosa and her family. A few neighboring ranchers who'd come to respect our unusual household, and several Apache families who'd already come to work on our expanded ranch. As I watched Kaya walking toward me in her white dress with Ayana serving as her maid of honor and surrogate daughter, I marveled at how completely my life had changed. A year ago, I'd been a bitter, lonely man waiting to die. Now I was surrounded by family, love, and purpose. Do you take this woman to be your wife? Doc Franklin asked. I do, I said, looking into Kaya's beautiful dark eyes. And do you take this man to be your husband, to love and honor in the traditions of both your peoples? I do, Kaya replied, her voice strong and clear. As we kissed to seal our union, I heard cheering from our guests and felt Ayana's hand squeeze my arm. This was what family felt like. This was what home meant. That evening, as we celebrated under the stars, Chief Night Wind pulled me aside. "You have given my nieces something precious," he said. "Not just safety or comfort, but the chance to heal and grow. In return, they have given you the same gift. Yes, they have. The road ahead won't be easy. There will be those who oppose what you're building here. I know, but we'll face it together." "Yes," the old chief smiled. "Together. That is the Apache way, and it is becoming the Coleman way as well." As the celebration continued around us, I stood with my wife and sister-in-law, looking out at the ranch we were building together. We'd started with an act of rescue, a moment of compassion in a world too often ruled by cruelty. Now we were creating something that could outlast all of us, a place where love triumphed over hatred, where different peoples could live and work together in harmony. It wasn't the life I'd planned when I rode into Tombstone that day 7 months ago. It was better. It was a life worth living, worth protecting, worth passing on to future generations, and it had all started with 3 simple words: "I'm taking you home." Sometimes the most important journeys begin with a single step of faith. Sometimes family isn't born, but chosen. And sometimes the greatest victories come not from conquering others, but from opening your heart to let others conquer you. Thank you for joining us on this powerful journey of redemption and love on the Arizona frontier. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments what you thought of Cole's transformation from bitter soldier to loving family man. Have you ever taken a risk to help a stranger? Share your story below and hit that notification bell for more inspiring Western tales of courage and compassion.